Alrighty, welcome front-end team. Today we're going to be, or I guess actually full web dev team. Today we're going to be covering a little bit about how we're going to go about building this website, and I'm specifically going to show you how to build a header and a carousel and use a little bit of Bootstrap and CSS so that you can get off and running. I know Caleb's already got started. I've looked into his repository. It looks, like I said, I haven't seen what it looks like, but I've seen a lot of commits. So way to go with that. Way to get a head start. For everybody else who hasn't started, maybe he's a little bit stuck, doesn't know how to get started or where to look or whatnot, I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of what I do so that you can have a better understanding of that. So yeah, let's get started. We are going to pop over here. This is our project. It's called CVU ACM Website Tutorial. That's what I'm doing right now. It's my folder. You guys should all have remembered from ACM 2, we all have our own directories. It's just that directory right there. So I'm in Nick Design, and I have a new branch that is Video This, which is just my tutorial for this video. We're going to start with creating a header. So hopefully you're familiar with Sublime by this point. I'm going to go into App, and I'm going to go into Views. And if we remember, this is our application HTML. This is what runs everything. Which I need to update real quick because it remembers a little bit of what I had from last time. There we go. So this is what runs everything. This loads in our sheets, our JavaScript, our CSS, and whatnot. It has the title for our website, which is right here. So that's the title that'll be up there, I think. And then yield, this is where it loads in all the other little sites. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to create another folder in this views. We're going to call it partials. Partials, I think it's spelled that right. And in here, we're going to go ahead and put a new file, and we're going to save it as header_header.html.erb. And this is going to be our header folder. And we're going to go over here, and we're actually just going to render that. So we're going to say, we're going to use the Ruby render. We're going to say partials/header. And we don't need to do the underscore because the underscore is just a delimiter to let Ruby know, hey, this is a partial. And then the partials folder is to let humans know, hey, this is where I store partials. So that's just going to essentially take any code that we put in this header folder file thing. It's going to insert it right here in between this yield and this body. So that's a good start we got there. I think I have the server running already, so that's what this is, which is fantastic. I don't know why the route is not leading to our controller, so I'm going to quickly go to config, and I'm going to go to routes, root static welcome. So I'm just going to save that real quick because I think that's left over. And there we go. Now I'm on static welcome. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to this header, and we need to fill in a nav bar. We see over here that we have a kind of a nav bar at the top. So we're going to go Bootstrap, nav bar. There we go. And it's going to pull up. This is the Bootstrap official documentation, and it tells you what to do. And this is their default nav bar. So if you go down, they give some more options and some features and whatnot. We're just gonna go ahead and snag this whole thing right here. We're gonna say this is good. Copy that. We're gonna paste that in there, and we're gonna save. And it doesn't like my spacing. There we go. And now if we reload, we should see, hey, look, we got our nav bar. The color you'll notice is gonna be a little bit different. The color in this one is like a light gray, and the color over here is like a darker light gray, and actually that is a result of us using not exactly Bootstrap, we're using Bootwatch, which is somebody else took and made a theme out of Bootstrap. So we're actually going to quickly move over to that. This is the dark background that comes natively with it. So if you want to see that, you can go to Bootwatch Darkly. This is the Darkly theme, Bootstrap. This is where that comes from. And this is something that I was using, but for now we want to switch back over to Bootstrap. So we're going to go Bootstrap CDN, which is Content Delivery Network. And we want to get the official Bootstrap this time, unlike last time. So let's see, Bootstrap getting started. And I actually don't like that. That's not the official Bootstrap website. Here it is. Okay, so this is version 4.3. We can technically go to version 5 if we wanted to, so we could say Bootstrap 5 CDN. Bootstrap 5 CDN. And that does exist, and I'm kind of tempted to do it, I'm not going to lie. But that's okay. We'll stick with the usual 4.6 right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy the CSS right here. So this is their CSS file that we can import. We're going to go back to application, and this is what I have here. You'll see that's the Darkly theme right there that we're importing. So I'm just going to replace that with this, and then this is their topic about JavaScript and whatnot. So they have one for jQuery, and then this is Bootstrap and Popper. So we're just going to copy that, and we're going to replace that with this. Technically, I think we only needed to replace the CSS one, and that would have actually changed us to the new theme. So if I go over here and just reload, you'll see it's white now. Perfect. But I'm going to go ahead and change over these other two as well, just so that we're using the official Bootstrap delivery network, and that'll just make life easier. And so this comes with things like drop downs and disabled nav bars, and when we shrink this down, it'll have its own little button here, and so Bootstrap does good things. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our header now, and I actually don't like the background light. Maybe if I wanted to change this background dark, then I can get dark, and that'll make this a dark background, but we actually don't want it either of those. We want our own color, thanks to Caleb, so we're going to call this the ACM blue, I think is what we're using. ACM yellow. I'm going to go with yellow. So we're going to call this ACM yellow. And you'll notice that does absolutely nothing. It's just blank again. And that's because there is no ACM yellow yet. So we're going to go under Assets. Whoa. Assets, Style Sheets. So Style Sheets, and then Application CSS. And we're going to go and create our own background dash ACM yellow, I think is what I called it. And then we're going to say background color. Background color is this color right here. But actually it's not. I found out that the color that he actually used is slightly different. So I'm just going to grab the color that he actually used because it looks nicer. The other one I think is the CPU gold. All right, so now if we go back and reload, we should have ACM yellow. What did I call it? ACM yellow. BG. Forgetting the hashtag. Perfect. Now we got that yellow background, and he keeps it like that, so we'll keep it like this. And then the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and start getting that to look. We don't need all of this stuff right here, so we're going to go ahead and go back to that header, and we're going to change Nav Bar to ACM-CBU, kind of like he did. So now we have that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll play with the other one. So home is good. We like home. The next one is Hall of Fame. Fame. And then the rest of these we will just ignore, that pretend like they never existed. So I think that should. Did I get rid of my UL? I did. There it is. So that should fix that. Okay, now this is all that we have left. That's beautiful. And we're actually going to make this active as well. So there's that. If you'll notice, this one's kind of a little grayer than that one is. And so when we refresh, that'll also bring it in, and it won't gray it out just a little bit. Okay, so now we have the ACM Hall of Fame home. This right here is what does the button. So when I resize my browser, it'll change these links into a hamburger patty button, that right there. So I want to leave that, but the rest we can take out. So this is a good start to what we have, but we need this blue background. So I'm actually just going to go above here, and I'm going to say div dot spacer, and then I'm also going to say background, and we're going to say ACM blue. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my application CSS, and I have to make two new ones. The first one's going to be background ACM blue, and the second one is going to be spacer. ACM blue is going to be almost exactly the same. We're going to take this, we're going to change its color to this right here. But what you'll notice is he actually uses it only 70% opacity. So we can also do that once we change this. We can say opacity equals 0.7, and that'll kind of give us the color that we're going for. But nothing shows up right now, and that's because our div doesn't actually have any width. If we added border on top of that right now, so hey, Bootstrap, give that a border, it's just going to be a straight line across the top, that white line that you see right there, because it doesn't have any height to it. So it has width, it just doesn't have height. So we'll go ahead and we'll say here, height for my spacer is going to be 20 pixels, which is pretty small, but that'll give me that nice little blue background at the top. And again, when we resize everything and then with that, it still stays the same because 20 pixels is always just 20 pixels. Perfect. That looks about right. We're kind of missing you know, that fancy stuff right here and whatnot. And we can play around with that, but for now I'll call that good. Green check mark. So we'll go over here and we'll say git add dot git commit message header, and that's perfect.